telling me on the phone your love is killing me. After all, your love is strong. For the money, money, oh money, money, oh money, money, oh money, money, oh. I'm feeling so free. I can't run away from home. I'm running, I'm gone. I can't.
So this Monday is your day. But now we've been thinking, how do we pronounce your name? Is it Töme, Töme, or Töme?
Oh, wow, it's Töme.
Töme.
It's Töme, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I wanted to be a little creative with the E instead of the I, which is how my name is actually spelled. But yeah, I've noticed that, it doesn't come off as Töme, but it's Töme.
Töme.
Yes.
Töme. Okay, so can you please share with us your mindset for this week? What were you shooting actually? Because we've been pretty busy. So what project are you currently working on?
This past week I was booked for a documentary television show. So I've been on set for the last 4 days. So I'm literally, we just wrapped up yesterday, which I guess is what you guys saw from the past week. And then aside from that, we just released a documentary yesterday. I have the official trailer going out today, but that's already out on YouTube as well. Just the part one, which is really just the making of my latest album and kind of a deeper insight on who I am and how I really am on a regular basis. And as well as we're getting ready for the single that I plan to release on my birthday next month, and the acoustic album that's going to be following shortly after that. There's been a lot. There's been a lot on that's been going on. We just opened up our own studio here in Toronto as well. So we definitely do plan to create something that really brings the community forward. Another way for emerging and upcoming artists such as myself and even newer to kind of have a starting ground in terms of what to do, where to go, and how to get the assets you need and how to start really in the industry. So a lot of new ventures, a lot of new projects on the way, but yeah, it's been busy, but it's been great. I'm really excited for everything.
Yeah. You mentioned something about being yourself, and that's what you're documenting, and I can't help but wonder what your name means. It's unique. First time I hear someone with such a unique name. What does it mean?
Yeah. Well, it's actually short for Oluwatomi, which means God is enough for me. And Tomi itself means enough. So I am Tomi, I am enough.
Okay.
That was really the meaning I meant
your
behind
mantra.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like your mantra. Okay,
Exactly.
I see.
All right. And then moving to acting, has it always been something that you wanted to do?
Always. Yeah. I went to school for acting actually. And I graduated in 2017 for that in college, and I've had an agent ever since. My passion for acting is just as strong as it is for music, but obviously as an independent, it is a lot more accessible to create music and put out music more so than create film and put out film. So it is still a very strong passion of mine. So anytime and opportunity that I get to act, I definitely capitalize on it. Yeah.
Now, you just spoke about your name, and if I'm not mistaken, Nigerian?
Yes.
So you were born in Canada. What is it that sparked I want to know more about who I am, what I am, and draw you closer to your heritage?
Growing up, I wasn't around Nigerians because I'm French Canadian. And so my mom had put our second national language in Canada is French. So my mom put me in a full French school my entire life. So, Nigerians don't speak French. So there was none around me really. And by the time 2018 came around, I didn't know many Nigerians within the city. I didn't really know much of the culture that we had here, the community. And although my dad did a very good job of bringing us back home a few times throughout our lifetime, as well as just kind of showing us around the world generally. So we had an idea of culture and privilege and et cetera, and all those things so that we can really truly be grateful for the lives that we have, regardless I didn't know my Nigerian side. I didn't really know my Yoruba culture. And so when 2018 came around, we actually opened up a Pan-African restaurant in downtown Toronto. And that was, we opened up Kiza, but in downtown Toronto. And so when we did that, that was the first time I really found the Nigerian community. That was the first time I really started to see just how many of us are here and how many of us are doing things, and we're trying to propel the community forward. And that was so inspiring to me. And I just learned so much about it. And then it definitely sparked a lot of inspiration for me to kind of hone that in my music, because it was something that I felt like for so long I'd been on this journey of, how do I go about making sure that I'm bringing something new, something different? Like, how do I bring something fresh with my music? And I think a part of continuing to understand who I am was another way to translate it better in my music. So when I now started realizing, okay, I can be with like African producers and literally, or African artists, and be able to hone on Afro beats as well as the stuff that I grew up on and how I was raised, to be able to blend the two, to me made the most sense, because it was really just translating who I am. And I think that was a big one for me, because as I continue to grow and find my sound, I really felt like there's something here, there's something different here, and I can really work with this, because before then I wasn't confident, but now I really am. And I think that makes a huge difference as well. Yeah.
Now, talking about who you are, finding yourself through music, the journey, with the musical side of you, outside of acting. I see you started writing music at the age of 8. Do you still remember the topics you used to write about when you were young? Because I can only imagine the music you were exposed to in the household.
Yeah, a bunch. My first few songs, I think I've always had this thing about self-awareness and just self in general. So I definitely, like, one of my first few songs was a song about like wanting to be a rock star.
Yeah.
Or was it pop star? I can't remember. It went something like that. I want to be a rock star. I want to be a pop star. It was one or the other. There was that. There was another one called Don't Die a Copy, which was literally like, you were born original, so don't die a copy. And I'd love to remake that, because those lyrics were pretty deep. And I made that when I was like probably 10, 12. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, because I still have all my notebooks. I didn't even, like, the first song I ever made, I don't even think it made any sense. But I still remember how it went. And it was like, what up, what's with you? What up, what's with me? I know, you gotta stop me. You know, you can control me. What up? Yeah, that was it.
The melody is still dope, though.
We need it. We need that one.
Right.
We do need that one.
So that I made when I was 8 years old. That was the first song I ever wrote. But yeah, I don't know. Just a bunch of...
I'm listening, sorry.
No. I was basically done. It's okay.
I'm saying you've been musically inclined, if I can say, for most of your life. And with most artists, everyone has a story, what they were inspired by, what triggered it, what influences them. And you know how most artists would say, I grew up in the church, or my family was musical, or you just ventured out and carved your own path. But when it comes to you, it was the film Superstar that was released back in 1999, that ignited this fire of you wanting to be a musician. So how young were you at the time, and why was this movie so influential to you as a musician?
Yeah, I was about maybe 3-4 years old when I saw it, because I was born in 97. So when that movie came out, I just saw it as like, wow. Because first of all, Molly Shannon as that character, she's not necessarily talented per se. She's not perfect in any way. She's not what you saw celebrities being, but she knew she would make it, and she knew she'd be something. And I think that's what really it really got me. At 3-4 years old, I didn't think of it that serious. I think I loved her line, "I want to be a superstar." And that's what I would just always repeat and just say it. I'd be like, "I want to be a superstar, superstar." But by the time I was like, maybe like about, I'm going to say like 8, 10, just because that I had a little bit more conscious awareness, I guess.
Yeah.
There was that moment of like, I'm not perfect either, but if she could do it, I could do it too, sort of thing. It was just kind of like, it was this spark of the passion that she had. I don't know how to really explain why that necessarily triggered me the way it did. But after that, it was every time anyone asked me, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? I just said, I want to be a superstar. And that was it.
Yeah.
I want to be a superstar. And it's always stuck to me. And I ventured into so many different things as well as I continued, like business and this and that. Nothing resonated with me the way entertainment does, ever.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, no, I want to be a superstar. Till this day, I still say it.
Yeah.
And that's just that.
And it's happening, you know, when one looks at all the things you've achieved. But still talking about the movie, you know, having watched the movie, like she went through so many things, especially with bullying. And I think that also comes with the industry, the female hate conversation, ladies not supporting one another or ladies pulling each other down in the industry. That's a conversation that's been there. Have you experienced these things? Because you did allude to the fact that when you were younger, you had confidence issues and now you're more confident now compared to your younger self. How were you able to overcome all of that, talking about bullying and just people hating on you on your come up?
Yeah. I did get bullied a lot, especially throughout elementary school. And it wasn't even on my talent or anything. It was just about me. And that did take a huge toll on me. Like, cause still to this day, I feel like I have a lot of self-doubt because of the bullying that was sort of instilled for like more than 3 years. And then, you know, it takes a lot. I think many people, even those who are very far at the top now and very successful, I think that like self-confidence is one of the hardest things to be consistent with, at least in my personal opinion, in every aspect of the word. But, you know, it's just about truly believing in what you do, truly believing in yourself. That really pushes you forward. When you do something that makes you feel good and how it actually affected so many people around you in a positive light, I think that definitely sparks a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It builds a lot of strength within yourself because you start to realize that, okay, so those were lies. It's not true. And, you know, it takes a lot of time. And when I was younger, a lot of my healing was through music. Things that I couldn't say out loud, I just expressed over my guitar. I just wrote it down. And that was really sort of how I was kind of getting through it for a lot of the time as well. And yeah, Superstar definitely did talk about that a lot. And women, the female industry, women in general, it's so funny because I was just talking to a few people about it yesterday. It's just, I feel like the love and support that you receive from one woman to another is stronger than anything a man can give you. It really is. It's a powerful thing in itself, but it's hard to find. And maybe it's because of my age, maybe it's because of where I'm at, I don't know. But I definitely feel like that's always been something, even till this day, that I have a lot of women that support me, but to be there, to grow with you, to propel in the supporting of your brand and of you, that becomes a different story when it comes to women. And that's where I want to change things. I only hope I can change things, but it's been difficult. I can't lie. It's been a little difficult. Right. But I mean, aside from that, I feel like those are only bumps in the road, and it's not necessarily anything that can stop me or change or switch my mentality to, I can't be where I need to be regardless. And I think that that's really what pushes me forward, to know that there's no quitting for me. No matter what happens, no matter what goes on, I don't give myself permission to quit, you know? And I think that that's really what continues to push me, no matter what, no matter how hard things get. I think even when things get hard, I push harder. But no matter how hard things get, I need to find a way out. I need to find a way to happiness, however that may be, to future. I'm always looking ahead, I guess. And that's just what keeps me going through it. But slowly and surely, things will start to change. And I think female support as well, most definitely. I think we are starting to build a stronger awareness of that. And I think we're all trying to come out of it. But, you know, I can't really say as to why that happens or how it happens. I don't know. That I don't know. Really and truly.
I feel like it's knowing that it's there and still questioning its authenticity, because women are so selective as to who do you give the love to and what can I get back in return. And I think it stems in with like the social media culture where who's the fave, who's hot, who's not. Let me camp here and let me not camp there. But I agree with you. It's something that we have to work on. But something that you did mention is your guitar. Yes. And in 2015, I mean, you've been at this, you know, from 3 with you making all this music. You released your first project on SoundCloud, and it was titled One with Self. But also, you had some songs that were recorded on your phone, and you playing the guitar. What was the reception of this project, and what made you decide that, you know what, I don't have all the resources, but I'm gonna do it anyway?
Well, in 2015, I didn't really have any idea of how, you know, the industry worked in any way, shape, or form. My dad was not managing me back then at all. You know what I'm saying? I was very much just a high school kid, just trying to, you know, go through high school. So when I put that project out, I was still very nervous. I was still very, very shy and about putting out music. I didn't really know how people would feel. I didn't know if they'd like it. I'm like, oh, it's kind of sad. It's really slow. I don't know if people are gonna like this. Like, that was really my mentality. So when I put it out on SoundCloud, it was really just for me. I had no one else in mind. It was truly just because I was like, let me just put this on SoundCloud in case like my phone ends up like wiping out all my music or something like that. Like literally, I was just like, let me just put it somewhere. Because I had so much more recorded that I wish now that I put out. Now I super wish I did that, but it's okay. Such as life. I still have it all written down. But you know, when I did that, it was kind of like, who knows who hears it? Once I put this out, who knows what can happen? And I wanted to just see if I didn't promote it in any way, shape, or form. I didn't let people know I put it out. I didn't do anything. I just put it on SoundCloud. So there's people from SoundCloud that heard it whenever they heard it. And there was actually one producer in particular that was within the same city as me that heard the project and messaged me on SoundCloud. And he was like, I think you have something really special here. Like, and that was when I was first introduced to a studio. He had brought me to a studio, and I just kind of got to see what he does. And it kind of really sparked a lot of like inspiration. We were working on so many different beats, and I was like, wow, whoa, like this is so different. So I'm really, really happy I did that, because that was able to open me up to studios. And I started really getting to know myself as an artist that way. I really started building the sound and kind of diving into different things, and strayed away a little bit from the cooped up room that I felt so intimidated to show to anybody. And so I think that it was truly a blessing, but I didn't think about anything when I put it out. I really didn't. I was just like, first of all, I had just put them out as singles and then put them in one playlist afterwards. And I was like, One with Self. Yeah. And I just called it One with Self. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's my first project. But there's a big gap between 2015 and 2019 for a reason, you know, because from after that, I wanted to make sure if I ever release again, I'm going to make sure it's worth it. Yeah. And that's why it took me so long, because I knew enough about the industry to know that I shouldn't just do it by myself. And by then, by 2017, I was like, no, my music's good. and I'm definitely not just gonna put it out there for deaf ears, you know. And so that's really what happened. But that album was just, that project was just, let me just put something out there. Let me just let people know that I have something. I can do something. That was really it.
You know, listening to your story, there's someone who's also watching this and listening to this conversation now, and they relate so much to it, because passion is one thing, but family or people close to you always have a sense of doubt. Like, will it work? What if it doesn't work? Have a plan B. And here you are sitting in this corporate office. It's your 9 to 5. You're this marketing executive. Probably everyone is happy because you have a job title that when you introduce yourself, they're like, oh, okay, she's got a job. Right. But the passion back of mind is just there, like, hey, we're ready. Let's go full time. What inspired that decision to say, all right, 9 to 5, you're great and all, probably the paycheck is amazing, but I have to follow my heart.
The fact that I wasn't happy as a marketing executive, in any really 9 to 5 job that I was doing, I wasn't. I was just there to get my paycheck and go home. I wasn't necessarily interested in what I was doing. And so for me, that starts to drain me. Then I start to like look at different like ways, like, I don't know, drink a lot or go out or just waste my days, waste my life. I don't see how being a marketing executive for myself, it was a great experience. It's good now because it helps me sell myself as an artist. But I mean, aside from that, I didn't like it. I didn't necessarily want to do that. That wasn't my passion. And it's funny because even before that title, like, I had gone into different like marketing sort of ventures and business ventures, because I was just like, yeah, like, let me see, like maybe what I need right now is just money. So when I was just looking for money, that was it. The only fulfillment was money, but it wasn't happiness. And so it wasn't, I wasn't happy because every day after that, I'd go back to a studio and make music, or I'd be in my car late at night and I'm just writing music. And I'm like, man, this is what I want to do. Like, this is what I want to do. And it was just kind of, I had made my whole Tome's Room project. I made that all by myself, really. I didn't really have a team. I didn't have any money that I had. I was just putting it into the studio. I was just putting it into different things to make my music happen. So by the time I had shown my dad, he was like, okay, wow, you've been working regardless. And I was a marketing executive at the restaurant that we were running downtown. So there was a lot. I think maybe that's what it was as well, is the fact that I wasn't just a marketing executive. I was also running a whole restaurant and lounge. I was also on the floor as like a manager, and as well as a waitress or a bartender sometimes. And it would be very, very long days, very long nights. And it was like that consistently. It was draining. It was draining because it wasn't my passion. But I learned so much. And then that was when I found the African community, et cetera, et cetera. So I think everything happened for a reason regardless. And it was just kind of like, this is it. I can't keep doing this. And once my dad, of all people, who started that restaurant with us, who started that restaurant for me and my sister and for our whole family in Toronto, to be like, if you're serious about this, I'll manage you. That was sort of like a moment of, yes, I'm done. I'm done. Let's go. Let's do it. Like right away, because first of all, the fact that I'm being managed by someone who has so much experience in the business, in the music industry. And then on top of that, it's my father. I was like, there's no way I'm going to let that go. Yeah. There's no way I'm not going to let that happen. And we were, by that time, there was a lot of opportunities for shows and et cetera. So it was either I was going to get fired or I was going to quit. So I just quit. That was really what it was. And there we go. And now we're here. And I think that was the best decision I could have made.
I think it's so cool how you just gave us a big summary of that. I mean, you quit your 9 to 5, you pursue the passion, and you fall deeper into your music. You're giving it your all. And I think it was the song, and please correct me if I'm wrong, L'amour. L'amour.
Yeah, that was the one.
Okay, so it was a French song, and you also have explained that your French lineage by virtue of who your mom and dad is. And you fell deeper into it, and now your dad is your manager, and we've seen this play out in so many ways. If I can even bring him up, Chris Brown with his mom managing him, Usher, mom at the helm, Beyonce, dad at the helm.
Yeah.
How has your experience been? Like you said, it was fantastic because you trust your father, he's got experience. But when there's this theory and then there's the practical lesson. How has it been working with your father as your manager? Can you separate the two? Do you separate the roles? Is there parts where it meets and you butt heads as I'm your daughter, or is he just, but you're also my talent and I'm your boss?
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything. That's the best way to describe it. There's definitely a little bit of everything. I mean, at the end of the day, we always do really like make sure that we're separate, especially my dad. I think he really does go out of his way to separate dad from manager, even sometimes more than I do as dad and manager, but or daughter artist. But you know, we constantly butt heads. I think we're also like very close, like I somewhat believe in zodiac signs, and we're both Virgos, so we butt head a lot. And sometimes I'm always thinking maybe he's thinking of this as a father and not as a manager. But then at the end of the day, he was right as a manager. That's what that was the best decision, and la la la, yeah, he wins. But you know, there definitely is those ups and downs sometimes, and those little bumps in the roads, and we completely disagree. Sometimes we totally agree, and we realize like the people around us are like, huh? Like, what do you mean? They're trying to tell us a different professional opinion, and we're like, but we know what works for our brand. And that's what I think I love the most, is the fact that he's so in tuned, because he's my father. He knows me. He knows who I am. And so he tries to make sure that I don't need to stray away from that, especially within this business, because that's very hard to stay realistic with yourself.
Yes.
Not get too lost in the sauce. It can be it can be serious. So, you know, although we butt heads time to time, it is still it's still truly a blessing to have him, regardless. Yeah, for sure. I still don't want to have anyone else, regardless, right? Especially right now. Yeah.
Shout out to your father, you know, representing all the great dads out there.
Cheese.
It's a beautiful story. And I think 2019 was possibly one of those years that got you excited about what's still to come. Because you went on tour with Mr. Easy in Europe. You went on tour with Wizkid, and both of those names already, they have the legendary status attached to their brand and what they've been able to achieve. How did it work? Who reached out to who? And even when you were in the moment, did you understand what was happening? Because you were working with African giants.
I mean, that's the thing. When that's one thing that I'm so grateful to have my father for, because a lot of the shows that were happening in Toronto, my father was producing. And so, he was producing those shows. And so when Wizkid came around, which was in March, he told me in like January. He was like, would you like to perform? Because he had heard a little bit of my songs by then. And then I was like, yeah, I would love to. Oh my God. But then I'm thinking, but I don't even have like a single out. I have nothing going on. And he was like, okay, well, if you're going to perform, then we need to plan out everything. We need to get you started. We need to get you going. So it's kind of like, once Wizkid came around, L'amour had come out. The project was going to be coming out shortly after that. And so by that time, it was kind of like, okay, wow, I just performed with Wizkid. This is crazy. My dad is literally the one like producing all these shows, so I'm able to be an opener through that experience.
Access.
And then through that access. And then when Mr. Easy came around in April, it was for one show, and I think that his team were actually really happy with my performance. I think because I brought out the guitar, I brought the energy, I was giving life to the stage. And then I think that's what really, like, when the Europe tour came around, they had mentioned it to my father that the tour was coming around. Would you guys like to be a part of it? So on and so forth. So they now reached out to us for that, to kind of be part of that. And that was really humbling to me, because it was like they didn't have to do that unless, I guess, they felt like I was really bringing or offering something to their opening acts, to be able to tour that whole time with them. I mean, I don't think you do that unless you really have something to offer. So that was a truly humbling experience for me right there, because it was like, wow, like, they saw me in Toronto, they liked what they saw, they liked what they heard, and now they want to take it even further and bring me on a whole tour. Like, oh my gosh, like, that was just so amazing. And then when Burna came around, it was the same thing. And then I performed with Burna at Wembley during the Europe tour with Easy. All those things were just so, I was just so grateful. And it's really all thanks to my dad. It's all thanks to my dad.
So your dad is the plug.
Yes, ma'am.
He
Yes,
is
ma'am.
a plug.
Yeah.
Plug.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, you describe your sound as Afrofusion. I'm hearing you opening for all these African artists. Also, you're worldly. You are in Canada. You speak French. You have Nigerian lineage and connections. And you just released your latest album, which is Bigger Than Four Walls. Yes?
Yes.
And what I want to know, for me, it sounds like someone that can't be boxed, and I might be wrong. But what does the title mean? And are you alluding to the sound that when it comes to your sound and who and what you are, that you can't confirm me, that you are everything and more?
That is literally that. You said it to the T. You literally said it to the T. Because bigger than Four Walls was that. First of all, Tome's Room. In short, it was just like a sequel. Like when I first thought of the name, not too deeply, I was like, Bigger Than Four Walls. It was just kind of like, first we were in Tome's room. Now let's come out of this room, right?
Yes.
So that was really what it was. And then because I was already making so much music from Tome's room up before we released, by the time we got to Easy's tour, like I had so much more music. And then the music we made while I was on tour was like even more music. So by then I was just kind of like, yeah, no, what I have to offer is it's diverse, it's worldly, and I don't think I need to kind of die down or dilute my sound in any way, or stick to just Afrobeats or stick to just R&B or hip hop or whatever the case may be. I was like, no, forget that. We are in 2020. It's time to change things a little bit. And it was just kind of like, as an independent artist, I have that ability to do that. And I think that's why I'm so keen on trying to just change things for myself within the industry, because I can. I'm not under any label that needs to label me. And if I'm going to go through a label, I need them to understand that I don't want anything to change within what I'm trying to convey. Because I'm already seeing so many artists starting to really bring out that versatility within one project, not sticking to one thing. They're already trying to switch it up. And people are very receptive to it. And I think that is really something that we really need to capitalize on. Music is music. And I think that for me, that's always been the case. I don't just like go into a studio like, okay, give me Afrobeats every time. I'm like, it's based off feeling. And I think that feeling speaks in many different ways. Music speaks in many different ways. And so that album was definitely something that I wanted to let people know that I'm not boxed into any genre, any style. And for some reason or another, it tends to resonate as still one project from one artist. And that to me means that there's something there. There's something special and it can work. So I'm going to keep doing it. And that's exactly it. I don't want to be boxed in because I don't have to be.
Yeah.
You are so supportive of women as a woman. You want the best for us, knowing the nonsense that we're facing in the world and all around. Personally, in South Africa, we're dealing with a serious GBV, which is gender-based violence crisis, where the stats are showing how women are dying every day. There's a woman raped, I think, every hour. Most of us don't make it. And there's a hashtag called Am I Next? Because me speaking to you, I can easily ask, am I next? I don't know if I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know if I'll see you next week. And with you speaking in support of women and wanting so much better for us, and being in Canada, I can't help but think about Tory Lanez, who is a Canadian artist, and Megan Thee Stallion finally coming out saying that I'm saying that Tory Lanez shot me, because when Cardi B and Megan released the song WAP, there were so many men in the industry saying this is such a vulgar song, this is so sexually explicit. But when you listen to their songs, like the Whisper song, Where Do You See My Eye? You know, the things that they speak about and how heavily sexualized their content is, it becomes a problem when women speak about or take ownership of their sexuality.
Yep.
And with Tory Lanez, and with Megan saying that Tory did what he did to her, and him being protected the way he is, especially from the men in the industry. What's your take on the position of women when they get hurt by men in the industry, and what can you say about it?
You know, it is a male-ran industry. That is first and foremost. It is a male-ran industry, and although women are now taking over, like in terms of music itself, I think our streaming numbers and streams in general are coming a lot more from women lately, in the mainstream aspect of things. But it's disheartening. It's truly disheartening as like a woman to see the fact that she needs to go out of her way to prove herself as a woman because a man, like, it's a hard topic to discuss in the sense that, like, first of all, she has my 150% support on the fact that if he needs to be sort of canceled for this, that's exactly what needs to happen. If he, like, in my personal opinion, I definitely lost a lot of respect. A lot of my support is no longer going to Tory for that. Although I would definitely, sorry, I keep getting calls. I would definitely like to hear what he has to say. Not saying that he's going to have anything to really excuse the reason why he shot a woman. There's no way, shape, or form around that. I want to know what he has to say regardless. But it's just a level of disrespect. I feel like, I don't know. It's really hard to talk about in the sense that it's almost like the same problematic issue we've been dealing with in terms of racism for so long is been doubled with women because we basically we basically dealt with racism and also just being a woman. It's been the same fight. No, sorry, it's not the same fight, but it's literally just as strong of a fight that we've been dealing with since the dawn of time. And it's definitely a little disheartening to know that it's continuing, that clearly we are very vulnerable, we are not protected, we are constantly having to fight a fight that we shouldn't have to fight. It shouldn't be a problem that we want to sexualize ourselves. They've been doing it to us for years, so now that we want to own it and make it something normal for ourselves instead of being ashamed of it, because I think that was one thing that we all kind of dealt with before, was being shameful of showing our sexuality, being shameful of what is natural to us. But yet men can idolize it and literally use it as propaganda against us for as much as they want to. It's sickening. It's truly disheartening, and it is really. Unfortunately, I wish I could say more on it than how I feel, but that's how I feel. And so, like, as an artist myself, I mean, I don't go to the explicit the whole, the whole 9 yards with it, but I do talk about sex. I definitely do talk about things like that because I feel like it is not something to be ashamed of. It is not something to be ashamed of. And it's never, I think that we just need to realize that women are power. Women are truly power, because I think one thing that a lot of men, especially within the industry, it's very hard for a woman to propel in and be confident and strong and be her own. And I think that's why a lot of the times Rihanna or Megan or Nicki or Beyonce come off as divas or excuse my language, but a bitch, because they're not going to be confined, and they're not going to be restrained, and they're not going to be told, no, you can't do this because you are women. No.
Yeah.
No. And I think that it's our duty, especially as artists, but anyone who wants to get into the industry as an influencer of in any way, I think it is definitely like in our duties or in our responsibilities to make sure that if this is what you want to let people know, at least as a woman, I definitely want to make sure that I'm letting other women know that you don't have to be ashamed of anything that you are. What you love, who you are, is not and never will be a problem. Never. Ever. And it's just really disheartening to know that we are still so vulnerable regardless. Clearly that shows you that it doesn't matter what your status is.
Yeah.
You are unprotected. It doesn't matter where you are at, how much money you have. You are a target. And because I have yet to overcome any sort of battle of that sort, or be able to say that, no, we are in this place. Women are no longer, we're not there yet. And I hope that as my career continues to build, that starts to change, that I'm able to advocate for it, that I'm able to be part of that change. But as of right now, the only thing I can say is that it's disheartening, but it needs to change. And I think that as we continue, and I've noticed that a lot of women in general, there are so many more women CEOs, so many more women businesses coming around. There's so many more women that are starting to build their own name without a man, without that dependence of, well, you need us. Because I think that's one of the main reasons why men feel like they have so much power over us, because they feel like we need them.
Yeah.
And when a woman shows otherwise, a lot of the times, I'm not going to say it. Okay, then maybe not a lot of the times, but then situations such as Tory Lanez Megan will happen. Maybe not as physical, but in a different way, verbally, on social media.
But
abuse still is happening, but I'm still thankful for a woman like Megan, because she hasn't made it stop her. She hasn't let this been like, oh, okay, I got shot. As a woman, I think I'm done. No, it was sort of like, she's going to, it's not going to change her, because I think that was maybe what his goal was. Who knows what his goal was? That's why I want to know what he has to say. I don't know what his goal was to do that, why he would go out of his way to try and do that. What were you trying to do? Ruin her career? What is it? But all I know is that it just shows you the power that women have, regardless of the trauma that you might go through, trauma that women go through. Generally, there are like 1 in 3 women are sexually abused, and you would never know. You would literally never know, because we are just that strong. So it's a tough subject. It's a tough subject. It's, like I said, disheartening, but I know that we are only moving forward regardless. Women have always moved forward. That's why we are in the positions we are in now. That's why we will continuously be pioneers for human rights. I mean, I don't even know how to truly dive too deep into that conversation, because I don't want to start saying nonsense. But from where I stand, we are vulnerable. It is evident. we have to watch ourselves. We have to watch what we do, but it doesn't mean it needs to stop us from being who we are. We just need to be aware that, unfortunately, the systemic world was not built for us. It was not built for us. But regardless, we move. And I think that we show that every day. And then when it comes to the situations that are happening in South Africa, well, South Africa is really dealing with it. Africa in general too, because there was an incident, like when the whole George Floyd thing was happening, there was still a humongous situation that was going on in Nigeria as well, with the amount of rape and killing that was happening to women there too. It's that's one thing I can't speak on, is really what's going on back home, because I'm not there to really see it firsthand. But to be so far away, to hear so much regardless, is still really, really saddening. And how do we come out of that? That's the question I always ask myself, is how do we come out of this when the people who are in power are not our gender? How do we get to that? And how do we get to that level? That's where it's like, damn, that's a battle that we really need to fight. But how do we get there? Because they make it so hard. Oh, it is definitely a conversation that I'm still trying to learn and figure out myself, but it's something I'm fully aware of, and I definitely am not going to neglect when it comes to how I portray myself and how I move my message and my influence forward. But that's all I can really say. I have yet to be able to change things, or I have yet to be able to be in a position to say that I have done something to change things, because no, we're still dealing with it. And I think that every woman in every position has probably tried or is trying, and we're still facing it, because where we need to be to change things is ran by those who do not want us there.
Yep.
So it is a battle we are continuously facing. But I think that as we continue to grow, as we continue to move forward, hopefully those things will change. But I know that from where I stand and how I feel about it, within what I can change or what I will be able to influence, I want to be able to do. I want to be able to make effective impact whenever that chance may be. But my standpoint is that it cannot stay like this, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
We move.
We move.
We move.
Those are my words. We move. And we move.
That's it.
Look, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us. You know, you've given us more time than we had imagined, and you've been able to just tell us a little bit more about yourself. And we can't wait for the people to hear this and for people to check this out. And we truly, truly appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys. I love this conversation. I must tell you guys, I thank you guys for really just doing that prior research to me as an artist, but wanting to know more. That felt really good. And yes. I love the fact that we were able to have this conversation, because it felt like I could open up a bit. So I want to thank you guys as well, because this was a great interview and I loved it. I really did. I thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.